Pacifica changed their name. It's as simple as that. They changed their name when you file for exemptions. My daughter's calling me. When you file for exemption, there's a form that's there, and one of the questions on it is by perjury of law, by perjury of or whatever punishment by perjury. You have to answer these questions. And hold on a quick second for me, please.
Hi, Mom.
Sorry, I'm having my husband call my daughter at the airport. Anyway, okay, so you have to answer these questions. One of the questions is, did you change your name? So when I answered yes, we changed our name, they said, oh, you lost your exemption status because now you have to file all the paperwork again. I approached executive directors and CFOs of Pacifica, because these are not KPFA documents, these are corporate documents that need to be presented. There's articles of incorporation, there's financial statements, there's a bunch of different things that need to be presented. And you present those to the state of California. They give you a certificate called an OCC, and I always forget what it stands for right now, but excuse me. So to attain that, like I said, you have to present all of these documents, which I did not have. I have multiple emails going around and around to executive directors, CFOs, asking them to get me those documents or do it themselves. It has not been done. And the difference in property taxes for just our building under exemption, we pay $1,400 approximately a year. 1 year is $1,400 with exemption. Without exemption, it is about $53,000 to $55,000 a year. So if you pay it, you run the risk of not getting reimbursed for it. And as it stands now, I still don't have those documents to be able to present to the county, or the state, and then consequently the county to get that exemption. So that's why the dollar amount is so high. We never paid late when we were paying $1,400 a year. And I'm saying 1 year is $1,400, where currently it's $53,000 to $55,000 a year. So the bottom line is, and I'll just cut to the chase, is that the county has said, I've been there a few times trying to get this rectified, which again, I have no power to do that. The county has said, if you show proof that you're trying to get this corrected, the sale or the threat of sale will halt until you get all your ducks lined in a row. So that's where we're at. Now it has escalated, and now I finally have gotten the attention of the national office or national board or whatever you want to call it. And I will tell you that I have multiple emails from executive directors and CFOs that I have tried to get this information and get this rectified. So with all of that said, I'm sitting here waiting. And also when it was pertaining to the loan, I used to be an escrow officer, which is somebody who's like the accountant for transactions, for real estate property transactions, for sales and loans and such. And there's something that's called a preliminary title report. Whenever you have a sale, a purchase, a sale, and a refinance, you have to get a title report, which shows if there are any liens on the property, any easements on the property. It's very detailed of everything having to do with that piece of property. That tax lien showed on the title report whenever this loan was taken out, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, whatever it was. And the board knew about it, or at least some people. I shouldn't say the entire board. Some people, I don't know exactly who knew about it, but it definitely was in the preliminary title report. I just found that out. I just found out that the board actually knew about this, or some people on the board actually knew about it, and they never approached Quincy or me. And so this could have been taken care of a year and a half ago or so on. So all I could say is I tried a gazillion times, and nobody was listening or nobody was following through at the national level. So here we are sitting with this, this big thing. So the $486,000 that is presented now could actually go all the way down to about $65,000, which KPFA can pay, and we would be done with it. And we would just go on our merry way and pay year after year, just like we had been, you know. So that's the story in a quick nutshell. And from there, I'm still waiting, just like everybody else, because I really don't know what's going on. So that's it. So if anybody has any questions, go ahead.
How much? I
muted you.
How much is due when?
I'm sorry?
How much is due and when?
Well, right now it's $486,000. But yeah, right now it's 400 in March. I don't know exactly. I've sent the information to the executive director. So I don't know right now the date. It's in March.
I heard a rumor that, this is Adrienne Maria, I heard a rumor that there was problems also with pensions being paid. Can you just say it, whether the pensions are up to date or not?
The pensions? You mean those were all paid.
Thank you.
Hi, Maria, it's Lisa. I just wanted to backtrack a little bit. You said that the documents that you needed to file were that the ED had them. I'm just curious which documents are, and if they are not the ones that are filed, aren't they filed with the state? And were they never filed with the state? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that was another problem. There were, I don't even know, there's like probably 10 to 12 documents that are needed that you file with the state to get this OCC exemption. And I don't know if they're available or not. The last time that anybody attempted to do anything and then it got dropped was with Sam Agarwal, the previous CFO.
So I'm sorry, so you don't know which documents are needed?
Oh, I do know. I mean, I've presented lists many times, and I can look it up in an email or send it out. Right now it's kind of I'm on my phone, so I have to find it.
I just was trying to understand, are these documents that have already been filed with the state in the past, or are these new documents that have to go with the change of the name?
I believe it's been a lot of that because of the change of the name.
New documents.
Yes, amended articles of incorporation, stuff like that.
Okay.
Because of the change of the name. So it basically, it all comes down to the flippin' change of the name.
Hi, Maria. Kevin Pena. How are you?
Hi, Kevin.
I'm looking at the document here. According to what I understand, there's an actual auction scheduled if it's not paid by March 19th. That the property will go for auction to cover it's a lien that will go to auction March 19th.
Right.
March 19th.
However, the caveat to that, the way I understood it from the supervisor of the tax collector, and I literally walked into the office down in Oakland, they said that if you show goodwill or whatever that you're trying to get this fixed, they will halt that. It all goes to a board, I guess, and they make the decision. So that's all I could say. What is needed is amendments to the Articles of Incorporation stipulating the name change to Pacifica Foundation, Inc., irrevocable dedication, dissolution clause, an organization's formative documents must contain both an acceptable statement of irrevocable dedication and dissolution clause, blah, 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 a lot of legalese. Certified copy of merger agreement dated November 19th, 1973, bearing the Secretary of State stamped endorsement, and balance sheet and profit loss for periods of 2016 and 2017. And that's basically where the CFO left it.
Do we have an
Can you give me can you give me 1 moment, please? 1 moment.
attorney?
It's not necessary if you work with the, if you work with the.
I just want to know if they have an attorney. If they have an attorney.
Okay, people, sorry.
That's fine. Maria, do we have an attorney working on this?
Yes, so now, finally, because we got this letter, I don't know who it is, the executive director has now taken it over, and that's what she said to our general manager, that an attorney is going to be taking that over.
Any other questions?
Hello, Maria. Anthony here. Is there a limit of how many years you can go back to get that nonprofit exemption?
They will, what I was told by the assessor, because I went to the tax collector and to the assessors, and they will re-evaluate our property taxes when we present the exemption. So, and then they'll just go back. And that's the other funny part, is what I was told is, if we had paid it at 55 grand or whatever it is a year, chance we could have possibly not had all of it refunded back to us. But because I didn't pay, we didn't pay anything, we will get everything reevaluated. We just pay the years, all together. And that money is sitting there waiting.
So I have a
in
question.
A reserve.
It's Sheila.
Yes.
Or are there people ahead of me?
Go ahead.
Yes, this is Daniel Borgstrom. I want to know if this is a network-wide problem. One other station is in California, under California law, I assume, and then the other three are in the others are in other places. Now, how does this, have they been hit with this problem too, or is it just us?
Well, all I can tell you is that because I honestly filled out the document, and when the question was asked, did you change your name? I said yes. So I can't speak to the other business managers. And this is for Alameda County. So you get the tax exemption from the Board of Equalization for the state of California, and then you give that to your county. So I can't speak to LA County or wherever Houston is. And the other two stations don't own property, so it doesn't matter. But so I can't speak to them, basically, is what the bottom line is.
Sheila, go ahead. Sheila?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry.
She was on mute.
How do we prove good faith, and what would be sufficient for the county to stop this?
That's a good question, Sheila. I don't exactly know, except that, I guess the attorneys are gonna go to that. So, again, if I had everything I needed, we wouldn't be in this place at all.
We need a new system.
Did somebody help me?
Hey Maria, it's Brian David.
Yes. Hey.
Hi. Question. While it's good to hear that we have, and by the we, I assume we mean Pacifica we, not necessarily KPFA we, have a lawyer working on the issue. What is the consequence if the lawyer or Pacifica fail to act? So does that mean in March, middle of March, whatever date that was, that the property here would go up for sale? Or do we know the consequence of a failure to act?
I don't know other than to assume, so I don't want to assume. So hopefully the attorneys are going to act quickly and they're going to get some answers.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, weirdly, somebody told me today that the tax collector, his name is Henry Levy, he actually used to be an attorney for Pacifica or for KPFA. I'm not sure which one of the two, but just a kind of a weird little 6 degrees of separation. So we have a friend at the county. I don't know. I don't know what good that's going to do, but we'll see.
Any other questions? Okay, we have 2 more.
Would you all mind coming up here, would you mind coming up here, or if not, I'll bring it to you, but it's kind of. Thank you.
Other people might already know the answer to this. Why did they change the name?
So who is this, by the way?
Oh, Kitty.
Kitty?
Yes.
Oh, hi, Kitty. Hi. Under Summer Reese, and this is kind of a broad understanding that I have, so it's not detailed and so on, but just my broad understanding. We used to be Pacifica Foundation. Some document was not filed on time, and we lost the name Pacifica Foundation because somebody else bought it. So, I don't know, let's say the document had to be filed by January 31st. And because it didn't happen on February 1st, and again, just hypothetical, on February 1st, somebody bought the name and held it ransom, the way I understand it. And so they wanted X number of dollars to get the name back. So instead of doing that, they called it Pacifica Foundation Radio. So we got a new corporate name. Then a different executive director, because, you know, we have executive directors in a rolling door or a whatever, circular door. Another executive director thought that she would change it back to the original name. However, she accidentally put, or she, I don't know she, I shouldn't say she, somebody put Inc. after it. So we went from Pacifica Foundation to Pacifica Foundation Radio to Pacifica Foundation Inc. And with every name change, you have to have all these new documents. And I want to, you know, be very honest. I don't know all of the details. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an MBA. I don't know all of the documents that need to be filed. Maybe other people would know better than me. But unfortunately, those documents weren't filed properly or at all or whatever. I'm, again, totally saying, speculating of, you know, but basically the T's weren't crossed and the I's weren't dotted. How's that?
Christina.
Hi, Maria. It's Christina.
Hi.
Hi. So, given that the Pacifica board ED dropped the ball on this before, is someone at KPFA in regular touch on them to hold their feet to the fire to ensure that things are moving along?
Which is perfectly fine with me. I've been kind of pushed aside, which, hey, I've been trying to get this done for a long time, and somebody else is taking it over, so let's see where they take it to. And again, I do know that there are a couple of, people who have stepped up and said, hey, can I help? So I don't know. I've not been given many details on what's next, other than the attorneys are handling it.
This is James. I have a question. You said take notes, and so I took notes, and you said $66K we owe, but it's only $1,400.
That's an approximate, James. Don't hold me to that number.
I know, and then you said $1,400 per year in taxes, and if I divide those numbers, it's like 44 years, which is a long time for not paying. So I'm kind of confused about that. Or if I take the other number, which is $460K, and divide by the $50K you said per year, in the other way, that's 9 years. So that in either way, it's a long time that this thing has been going. Is it, how far back does this go? Where
It's been going about 6 years, 5 to 6 years.
And so there's a lot of penalties or something that get added on to that?
Yes, you get penalties and so on. And the only number that I've been given, we have been given by the county, is the full pop, the whole shebang, which is the 486. But you could go ahead and look, I'm happy to show you, the APN, the parcel number, that the assessor's parcel number. You look it up and you see what the property taxes were in the past versus what they are now, and you'll see a huge difference.
Hi, Maria, it's Lisa again. So if you're not going to be in touch with the attorney, who's going to be liaison with the attorney and can keep us informed here?
I'm guessing it would be the executive director.
I mean, who here is going to be in touch with the attorney? Who at KPFA? The executive director has just kind of taken this over, so nobody has come to me and asked any questions. So is Quincy going to be in touch with the lawyer? How is that working?
If the executive director wants that to happen, I can't speak to that because there's someone higher than us who's handling this.
Okay.
This is just please understand. This is the payment has always been done by KPFA. The documents needed come from a corporate level. So it is a corporate matter, period. And I've raised my hand, stomped my feet, held my breath, and never gotten anywhere with trying to get this resolved. As has, by the way, other people on our board. Sharon Adams has been a huge help in trying to get this resolved and never went to anything.
Hey Maria, I'm just going to step in for 1 second just to bridge. Because there's people on the... Yeah. Just to bridge. So the issue is communication from Pacifica. And on KPFA's end, I'm sure Quincy is... Oh, I know Quincy's aware of this. I know Maria's aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm aware of it. All managers are aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is actually getting information from Pacifica. So it's a challenge on our end. It's not due to lack of effort, but it's actually getting an answer from the people who have them. So as far as like point person, it's like, I know Quincy's talking or trying to or attempting to speak with the executive director around this. And that's probably all the push, and the letter has made some moves, but it's not a foundation that Redoux speaks to its base. So, I mean, that's kind of the challenge. Yep. We try.
So I just want to point out that we're over time because we had only really allotted a half hour, but I feel like this is very important, and so people are still talking. So I don't know if we were going to end at 9:30. We wanted it to be a short meeting, but is everybody fine with this going on a little bit longer? No. Okay, we're okay. You're done. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Well, there's not much more, Janine, that I can say. I mean, unfortunately, I am really, really you know, and I have proof that I have tried multiple times, as has Sharon Adams, as has other people. Right now, Sharon's just the only one that has, she's been my partner in this, and yeah, and you know, it really also, it very much disturbs me that when this loan that you'll be talking about next happened, this was a factor in it. And yet, that was a year ago, a year and a half, 2 years, I don't even know what the heck it was. So, it's just, it could have, yeah, anyway, okay. That's all.
All right, thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Maria. Thanks, Maria.
You're welcome, you guys. And I am going to have an 8-month-old baby I'm going to be playing with very shortly. I'm going to forget about all this.
For 6 more years.
All right.
But if you guys have any questions for me, anything I can answer for the loan, I'm willing to try, but I don't know a lot either. So
And what's the
I'm
best
the
way
same
for
boat as you guys.
What's the best way for people to do that? Would it be to email you, come to the office? What's the best way to communicate?
Yeah, you know, I always have an open door policy, and email is fine as well. So.
Okay.
But I don't know a lot about the loan, period. I really don't. I mean, I gotta say. And before I get cut off when my family does walk through that door, I want to tell you that that business managers and general managers have never been told how much we need to set aside to help pay the interest payments on this loan. We've asked multiple times. We said we're doing budgets. How much do we need to set aside? We've never been given a number.
Okay. Thank you, Maria.
You're welcome. I'm here for a little bit, so I'm just going to put you on mute.
Okay. All right. So the next issue we're dealing with is the loan. And so did everybody get a report? We have extra copies. Everybody got one? Did anybody need one? It's, okay. All right. It's pretty, well, it's not pretty detailed. I mean, it's actually concise, but I only have 2 things that I wanted to discuss tonight, and that was how much is owed and how we can raise the money to pay it. But if anybody has any questions, I didn't want to just focus on that. If anybody had any concerns about the loan that they wanted to bring up now, but those are the 2 points that I want to focus on, like how much is due, when, and we have, it's like $3 million March 2021, and there's some other questions like what can we do to generate revenue, etc. Go ahead.
I'm Christina here. I don't know who is going to answer the question, but so we have a $3.1 million loan, and in addition, it's accruing interest. So we have more than a $3.1 million loan. So what is due in totality, and then what's that interest rate? How much is accruing every month? So, what's the real amount that we owe now?
James, do you know the answer to that?
I think I do. So.
You think
Grab the mic.
Okay.
Keep an eye on it. Get close over there.
Okay, I thought the interest rate was 8%, and there was, and we have to start making interest rate payments at this point, and I think if you take 8% on $3 million, it's like $240,000 per year of interest, and if you KPFA would share about 1/3 of that. as I recall, I think it's 1/3, so that's like $80,000 divided by 12 months. So it's right, something like $8,000 or $9,000 per month, I think. I wish Corey was here. He should know those numbers, and it's been hard to get those because there's been a lot of emails about it with different variations.
By pledge drive, how many pledge drives do you have?
Can I ask you a question of James, please? This is the first time I've heard about the 1/3, and why is it that KPFA would have 1/3 of this obligation?
The 1/3 was sort of based on dividing relative amounts of. It's sort of like when you pay what's paid into the national, and if you look at which is based on income of the different stations, and I think it was my understanding. I'm just trying to do all this off the top of my head. I think it's like a KPFA's, and then the LA station, and then the other 3 are all small, and combined they're about the same in terms of revenue, and so that would be kind of the organization, that you might divide it up that way.
Well, just to remind you, we have asked and never gotten an answer as to that number you just gave me is news to me. So how can the stations be asked to pay something they don't budget for? But that's just a comment.
When the loan was taken out, additional money was taken out at the same time the loan was slightly larger, so there could be a fund to pay the first year's interest payments. So we borrowed the money to pay the interest on the loan. That year has come up. The number I was told was $27,000 a month is the interest on the loan at the moment, and part of the interest has been put away again. We have a savings account. I'll call it a savings account. We have an account. There was a bequest that came in to Pacifica from a donor in the New York City area, and they gave $583,000 to Pacifica. And the board I think it was the interim executive director and the CFO. The CFO was directed by the interim executive director to put $200,000 of that away in the fund to pay the interest. So at the moment, our interest payments are covered, but it just made the loan even bigger, and it used up a huge portion of a bequest that couldn't be used for other things, including the principal on the loan. So the interest payments are onerous, but they're largely covered for the interim. So if the loan gets rolled over or refinanced or anything like that, the interest would start all over again.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Vilma V. First, I want to thank you, Janine, and applaud you taking a leadership effort to gather us, and really thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it. My question is, it sounds like we have, obviously anyone who's paying attention, a lot of dire financial situation happening, but it seems to me that that is a recurrent problem, and it has been one for many years at KPFA. So what I'm curious and what drew me to this meeting, which I look around and I see a lot of unpaid staff and not that many paid. So I'm just wondering, what are some of the outcomes that we're hoping to gather with that we can actually move forward to trying to come up with a solution? Because to me it seems like it's continued like inequities in power, and hearing Maria trying desperately to get an answer for several years. So I don't understand how that whole thing works. And I'm wondering how I can be part of the solution and not part of the problem. And also want to return to the idea that you had about love being a driver of all this. even though, you know, people are walking out and, you know, how does this work out? But I'd be to knowing what people thought about that.
Thank you, Vilma. Again, this is just my jargon or whatever when I talk about pay grade. Like, again, there's just so much that I don't understand. So what I wanted to do was brainstorm, because that's my pay grade as a community organizer. I know how to do that. So I might not know all about the numbers or whatever, but when it comes to brainstorming and thinking up ideas as to how we could possibly solve the problem, that's what my intention for the meeting was. So I would like to do that shortly, but I just wanted to, if people had questions about the loan that we couldn't answer, we try to maybe see if somebody here could answer it, or we could take it back and try to get it answered from somebody else, maybe email or text Chris or whatever.
So I want to honor
everybody. I have to go. So good luck and thank you.
Bye. Enjoy.
Bye.
So this is Adrienne Lavi. I work with Pushing Limits Radio. I want to honor your strong request that we not blame or get into history. I really want to do that. And I've been watching this for 20 years, literally. So my question for all of us is, if we raised all of this money in next week, you know, through some amazing miracle, I would not have enough trust that it would actually get paid and get taken care of. And that, not only that, but that the foundation, all of our stations, which really is what the foundation is, would be on a solid ground. So it's hard for me to just brainstorm about what is a really enormous amount of money when I think the dysfunction in the network is so very intense. And I'm just going to say this, and we don't need to talk about it, and other people can or can't, but we're going to be facing a vote where there's a group of people that have put bylaw changes, and it's extreme bylaw changes. It takes away most of the democratic things. It puts us into a self-appointed board. I'm in favor of it. I think it's necessary. But I won't say any more because that's not our intent tonight. But I think if we don't pay attention to the larger context, well, I'm just going to encourage you to do that. And maybe we need a little committee of people to do that kind of research and bring us back a report similar to what Chris did, of like, okay, what are the options for making Pacifica strong?
I'd like to agree with the need for that, even though I know that isn't the purpose of this meeting. I think we need some body that can really explain to us all what it all means and what the options are. I also cannot believe that a station full of activists can't figure out some way to make people be responsive, at least for information. I understand we all try hard on the money scene, and we might not be, you know, but on getting information and knowing what's actually going on and not having stupid things like not paying taxes, I mean, that's just ridiculous. And, you know, I don't know, I mean, as an activist, I can think, as a taxpayer, I can figure out how to pay my taxes, and as an activist, I can figure out how to get some action out of somebody else. So I can't believe we can't do that. And I want to, you know,